I'm Alan Ross. I'm the managing editor of APC Technologies, and we are here at the NETA, the International Electrical Testing Association, their 2023 Power Tech Conference, doing interviews. My guest with me is the Director of Communications for APC Media, Rachel Linke. Rachel, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely, Alan. Would miss it.
We're just going to have an interesting time with all of these people, and tell me what you like best about these interviews.
The best part about these interviews, I feel like, is that it really brings about a lot of great thought leadership, and I really just love how you make everybody feel so comfortable, Alan. You really try to get people to just be comfortable and in their own skin, and then so much great information comes out of it. So
let's see if we made people in the next interview comfortable. Enjoy. My next guest is Paul Grein. Paul is with Group CBS. He's going to tell us what he does in a little bit. Now, Paul is in sales, so I'm really going to put him on because he's going to have to tell me why Group CBS, but we'll get to that in a minute. Paul, thank you so much for joining me. How did you get in the industry, the power industry as a whole, and why did you get in the industry?
So I enlisted in the Navy. When I was,
you're like the fifth Navy guy.
There's a lot of Navy nukes and you know the prime power guys in the program. So I enlisted in the Navy when I was 19 or 20 years old, and some detailer in DC decided electrician, and that guy, I don't know who he is in the world, set me on that path of becoming an electrician. Thank God he didn't choose a mechanic, because that would have been awful. But
well, we can't say that to mechanics.
Yeah, I know. Right. I'm just saying, I'm glad I think I'm well suited for my field. So I did my tour on submarines and liked the camaraderie, but didn't like the grueling schedule and the away from family and all that. And I got married, so I decided to get out. And then I used my GI Bill to get my EE.
Okay.
And I always wanted that more for, I'm like a people person. I saw myself in sales, but I wanted that technical background to be able to talk. My mentor was actually a guy for GE he was my buddy's uncle, and he sold power plants. Okay. To like whole GE, power plants, and the guy was awesome. And I was like, and he said it to me: when you're in B2B sales, you're not really selling anything to anybody. Right. You're really just filling a need. Right. So it makes you don't have to talk anybody into buying anything. So I graduated, and where am I at? Oh yeah, I got a job at Raytheon in the defense industry. Excuse me. And it was like the worst parts of the military with all the bureaucracy and none of the camaraderie. Yeah. And Dan Hook, who's actually on the NETA board, he was one of my shipmates on the submarine. Okay. And he was down having a meal with the owner of Group CBS, Finley Ledbetter. And it was like the best interview of my life. I wasn't looking for a job. I was just having dinner with Finley and Dan. And Finley was asking me questions about what I did or what my background was, and I'm like, well, I'm like Dan, but not as smart, so I work harder. So I was brutally honest.
Yeah, right.
And a week later, he called me up, offered me a job, and I've been with the company 15 years.
So one of the things I love, because I'm a mechanical engineer, and then I never have worked as a mechanical engineer, but when we go out to the marketplace, when we work in sales or business development, we really aren't in sales, we're consultants, because there's a certain gravitas by having an engineering degree, because engineers by nature are problem solvers.
100%.
That's why we're drawn to, whether it's civil engineering, whatever, we're drawn to it because we like to solve problems. Today, the industry, your customers, have more problems, fewer people to solve the problems, and it is changing rapidly out there. So talk a little bit about what you see in the industry as some of the changes that your customers are having to deal with, challenges your customers are dealing with.
The biggest thing is, I would say, is brain loss of, brain dump, basically. Right. Like senior people that have been working in plants for 40 years, and there seems to be a gap where you have these new engineers and new technicians that are arrived and are having to take over for a mentor, where in the past I feel like you might have got 20 years of him training you up and learning the plan and whatnot, whereas today, for me, for example, I only had 5-10 years with my mentor before he left. So that's one of the things is that short span of training not what the words I'm searching for is.
Well, it's hard to pass on legacy knowledge.
Legacy knowledge, exactly. And so a lot of those guys are being kept on as consultants, you know, and they're coming back to the plant and whatnot. So that's one thing. Obviously, aging equipment is another thing. I mean, our infrastructure in the United States is very old. I don't know if you've traveled globally, especially in Asia. I mean, they replace their equipment like it seems like every 5-10 years. I mean, they just take it out and put it in new, whereas we keep it going. So aging infrastructure is such a thing, and it's so hard to replace because you can't take long. You know, they don't want to take outages to do so.
Right.
And then obviously there's the supply chain issues today that are really hurting.
Transformers are. I've got a good friend, and he opened a new transformer plant, first one in North America in decades. In Chihuahua, Mexico. The day he opened it, he had a 2-year backlog.
Isn't that crazy?
I know, and so we just can't fill it fast enough. Aging is aging more than it has in the past. Demands are increasing.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So when you go out and you're talking to customers, I know you're relational because somebody walked by and you had to say hi. You know, so I don't pay any attention to them, but there is a certain part of this that this industry, and NITA is really a good example of it. There's a camaraderie and there's a collaborativeness. People are willing to teach other people.
Absolutely, and it's funny because a lot of people here are competitors.
Right.
But when it comes down to it, if you get a call from anybody and asking a technical question, they're going to answer it without any thought.
Right.
You know what I mean? Thought to it. And, you know, I'm in IEEE, the standards committee, and it's the same way there. I mean, so if you ever have a technical question, you can reach out to somebody here that, you know, that's a NITA member, and they'll absolutely be all too eager to help you and answer it out.
What standard are you working on, IEEE?
IEEE C37, they go through the cycle of standards.
Okay.
It's the standards that govern the design of the power equipment that in our industry.
Yeah. We're really big supporters of IEEE. We did this at IEEE PES T&D event.
Yeah.
We're doing Grid Edge, IEEE PES Grid Edge conference in San Diego in April. And so
I'll be at I think my next conference is in California.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you know, it's in Clearwater.
Okay.
It's here in Clearwater.
Different conference.
Different conference, yeah.
But if I see you in San Diego, we might do this again because we do it there. I'm on the steering committee for IEEE Grid Edge, and we just did Distributech in April.
Oh, wow.
Were you at Distributech?
No.
Okay.
I didn't
and part of it is, IEEE is the same way, different but similar. There's a lot of collaboration. There's a lot of congeniality. People get along. They actually truly like one another.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So you see these problems out there. What is changing in the world of breakers?
The biggest thing that I'm seeing is the designs of circuit breaker mechanisms are becoming modular to where if you're going to maintain the mechanism, like for example, I saw a vacuum circuit breaker that's made by LS, and you can change out a pole assembly with 4 bolts.
Really?
Yeah. The main operating shaft is not tied to it. It's operated via cam levers.
Okay.
So, I mean, and you can change out the mechanism with 4 bolts. If you want to add a coil, it's very plug and play, and the costs of the equipment is coming down dramatically. So, if I were a plant manager, one of the challenges that I might see as a testing company is that I would just buy 30 breakers and keep them on the shelf, because instead of a breaker costing $40,000, $50,000 for, you know, they're coming down to like $4,000 or $5,000.
Yeah.
So why not just, you know, if you're a plant manager and you're looking at how do I spend my money, why not just, you know, run that until it breaks and then replace it every couple of years, right? Because it's going to be cheaper potentially than testing. So that's probably a problem 40 years from now. You know what I mean? Because as I said, the culture in America is really to test your equipment and keep it going as long as possible. So, but that's one of the things I'm seeing as far as the technology. The prices are coming way down. There's a standardization between IEC and IEEE, so it's like the same. Right. You know what I mean? So it's the same breaker. They just test it to different standards. Yeah. So they can make them overseas, and they're just
Okay, we're on an elevator.
Okay.
And we're coming down, and I just meet you for the first time. I don't know Group CBS. Tell me what it is that you guys do, and why are you of value? I want value proposition.
What I always tell people is our product is life extension of electrical equipment. And there's so many different ways we can do that. We have the largest inventory of surplus electrical equipment in the world. As far as, I mean, if you come to our warehouse, it's one thing to say that, but if you visit our primary warehouse in Gainesville, Texas, I mean, it pretty much blows people away. A lot of people can, if you've seen like Raiders of the Lost Ark, that last scene where they're putting the Ark of the Covenant in that, it's very much like that. Like people are like, I mean, it's pretty amazing. If you're not our customer, you are our customer. Is what I tell people. You may not be buying from us directly, but you're definitely buying from us through some channel.
Okay.
So basically, anything up to 38 kV we support, and then we have relationships for high voltage stuff as well, transformers. I mean, there's really no aspect of the market that we can't support you on. And it's one thing to say it, but I mean, we have molded case breakers, metal clad breakers, CBS arc safe that does remote racking and safety equipment. Transformers, I mean, testing, obviously, you name it, we really cover the whole spectrum. So the really thing that makes our company different from those that are in the same, our competitors, I guess, is our scope. Our scope. We're all over the nation, and I mean, from every inventory I've seen, I've been in many of our other, our competitors. I mean, we're really, the size of us is just,
culture. Tell me about the culture of Group CBS.
It's very much family.
Okay.
I mean, typically, you've been here either 40 years or 30 or 40 years. I mean, I'm 15 years and I'm still the new guy. So that's, that's basically a family culture, I guess, how I describe it. Longevity, 100%.
People.
We don't let people go. I mean, people tend not to leave. I mean, I've been here 15 years, and maybe, other than people retiring, maybe 2 or 3 people have left the company, which really says something for how we treat our people and how they feel valued and how they feel that they're contributing. So,
what we find is if you treat your people well, you'll treat your customers well.
Oh, 100%.
Because it's a culture. Right?
Yeah.
It's not something you have to learn like, customers, we really want to treat you well, and you beat your people up every day, right? They're not going to treat their customers well.
It is a challenge because we're an emergency room, so a customer calls to bail you out, you want to help them, right? Yeah. And so you ask your guys, hey man, we really need you to work through the weekend or stay late, and they're always willing to do it, but there's emergency after emergency after emergency, so you really got to be careful not to burn your people out while still balancing this, taking care of your customers as well. You want to be there for everybody. And it's almost like they're in contention sometimes, and it can be hard to deal with.
I love your career arc, from electrician to electrical engineer to business development consultant, because that's got to be what you do. That's what engineers do.
Yeah.
They solve problems for their customers.
We solve problems. I mean, I like to think of myself as when people come, they say, what's the problem? I just try to fix it, whether that's a product we don't have, or a customer has a blow up, or something within the company that's an issue or whatnot. So,
okay, good. Yeah. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you.